the Greg Thompson Football Show. Tonight, we're going to be breaking down all the week 3 action to get you ready as you're waiting for the Buffalo Bills to come back to us here this fine Monday night. And it's an interesting slate this week. First, shout out to the NFL for not leaving us like last week where there was 10 1 o'clock games and 3 4 o'clock games. That's just terrible planning. Who does that? I don't really understand where they get that logic from. This week, we get a very nice, balanced 7 1 p.m. games and 5 4 p.m. games. But we'll give a little love to the game here tonight because I think it's a sneaky, interesting game. The Patriots are at the Jets, and I think there's a chance that the Patriots hang in this game. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to be rooting for the Jets just because it's way funnier if the Jets find a way to lose this game. They're favored by 6.5. I think that's about right. It started out at a touchdown. It's come down to just under a touchdown. I think the Patriots can hang in this game. The Jets have really struggled to pull away. Rodgers is very much played just like a point guard out there. He hasn't been making the crazy big time plays. He's not even touching the middle of the field. This Patriots defensive staff is smart and tough. Like I think they're going to put him into a tough spot. So I think the Jets probably pull out the win here, but ultimately I think it's going to be a little more interesting than what a lot of people think. In the 1 o'clock slate, I'm going to start out. Weirdly, the Chargers Steelers game matters a little bit. It's 2-0 teams. I don't think this is a game that a lot of people would have had pegged as a two teams being undefeated at this point. It's in Pittsburgh right now. The Chargers are 1.5 point underdogs, and I think they're the better team, but I don't know for sure. I think that Pittsburgh, that defense is tough. They've somehow gotten Justin Fields to just play within himself to be able to kind of, just let the defense do their job. It's not like the run game in Pittsburgh's been doing anything crazy. Jalen Warren, Najee Harris haven't been doing anything. They've been winning with field goals. They're 2-0 with 1 touchdown on the season. So I think Los Angeles is going to be able to pull this out, but I've thought that the last 2 weeks that Pittsburgh was going to lose both weeks. So I'm going to keep an eye on this game just because there's a chance the Bills could play one of these teams come playoff time, and I think that it's an interesting matchup to be able to monitor. I'm curious where it's going to go. Another one of 2-0 teams where, again, maybe half of it was predicted. The Houston Texans are 2-0, and they're heading to the 2-0 Minnesota Vikings. So this is a tough one for Bills fans because I think, we were kind of expecting this to be a comfortable game for the Texans. Instead, they're only 2-point favorites in Minnesota. This is also a game that's a little bit tough, as Sweet Spike brings up here. The hard part is we want the Texans to lose, but we also want the Vikings to lose for that second round pick to have a little bit more value. So we kind of have to weigh, would we rather help our playoff seeding odds and tiebreakers and things with the Texans loss, or make that Vikings draft pick a little bit more valuable? I live in the now. I'm going to be rooting for the Vikings to win and give the Texans a loss to, see if that comes to end up mattering come playoff time. But yeah, I agree with Sweet Spike here. I'd love to find a way to bring both of them. And the comment here, when it comes up time for the Germany game and people realize that we're sending the Panthers and Giants to go play in Germany, as that's a harsh punishment. I thought the Geneva Conventions specifically outlawed this kind of behavior, because this is a cruel and unusual punishment, and I just I think there's potential for war crimes to be levied here, but we'll see where it comes up. That is an ugly game, so we'll talk about it when time comes. But yeah, as Chris sees here, current season priorities is more important than next season priorities. Again, I'd love if they could both find a way to lose, but I'm on the same spot right now. I'm going to be rooting for the Vikings to pull this off and to go 3-0. I don't love that because I wanted that draft pick to be like a top 40 pick, and now it's pretty clearly looking like it's going to be more middle of the first round. Maybe they even sneak in as a 7th seed in the NFC, but we'll see where that one goes. Then some of the other 1 o'clock games here, I'm going to go back to the overall slate on the screen here. Giants Browns, that's nothing crazy. Packers Titans is a weird game because you have another probably Malik Willis start. The Titans are probably the best 0-2 team around, but I don't know if I'm going to watch that game all that closely. Bears Colts, same thing. I think it's interesting for the young quarterbacks, so Caleb Williams and Anthony Richardson, but I'm not sure if I'll have that on my quad box when I'm watching here. I will say Saints Eagles is an interesting game. I do think there's a little bit of intrigue there. There's a chance that they'll make my four screen, and then the same thing Broncos Bucks. This Broncos seems really bad. I don't think that's there. So I think I'll have Chargers Steelers, Houston Minnesota. I'll probably do Eagles Saints just because that's probably a more interesting game. And then I don't know if I'll probably do Bears Colts and watch the quarterbacks. I don't think I want to watch a full Malik Willis, Will Levis game. I don't need that in my life. So that's probably my quad box for Sunday. But there are a couple sneaky ones in the 4 o'clock slate. So obviously Dolphins Seahawks, the Dolphins at 1-1 going to Seattle, always a tough road trip. They've got Seattle's a 4-point favorite. Skylar Thompson obviously going to be starting at quarterback. The Dolphins put Tua on IR, understandably. So he's out the next 4 games. It's going to be super interesting to see how point and click Mike McDaniel can make this offense. I'm going to be very interested to see that. I don't think the Dolphins, with how stacked the AFC is, can afford to they can't go 1-3 in this stretch and have Tua, assuming he comes back. I have no idea if he will. Everyone will understand if he doesn't, but let's, for sake of discussion, assume he is coming back and going to be healthy and able to play. You can't bring him back and they're 2-4 and hope that he just catches back up with how stacked this AFC conference is. That's going to be really, really tough here. So I think Mike McDaniel is a creative coach. I think it's possible, but I think Seattle's good. I don't think they're exceptional, but I think they're good. And I think this is a tough place to play on a long road trip. So we're going to see what Mike McDaniel and this staff has, because I think that's going to be a tough ask for them to come together. Another game I'm going to be watching for is Detroit, Arizona. I know it's an NFC only game. It doesn't have a ton of impact on the Bills, but I think it's a super interesting matchup. It's something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on, because I think the Lions dropped one that not a lot of people expected last week to Tampa Bay. Arizona has had a pretty close, tough game against Buffalo and then smoke the Rams last week. So I think this is a chance to be a fantasy shootout. I think this is the over-unders at 51.5. I think that's probably one of the higher over-unders so far this season. And they've got Detroit as a 3-point favorite. And I got to tell you, I think Arizona's tough. I think Arizona's going to be a game team this year and going to be sneaky good. So I'm going to be interested to watch that matchup. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. I love it that I might even be able to set up another quad box at 4 o'clock where I'll be able to go Dolphins, Seahawks, Lions, Cards. I'll probably have I don't know. I think I have the Raiders defense in most of my fantasy leagues just because of how bad the Panthers are. But I'll be obviously watching the game of the week here. This is my matchup to watch. It's Ravens Cowboys. Obviously, Cowboys are a huge, their fan base is crazy and they get way more attention than they deserve, but they're a talented team. They're a top heavy team. And obviously they smoke the Browns in week 1 and come in feeling pretty good that, the Saints are going to be paper tigers. We'll take care of that. The Saints throttled the Cowboys. So they're in Dallas. They're at home. They're licking their wounds. And in comes the 0-2 Baltimore Ravens. I am shocked the Ravens are 0-2. I know a lot of people had questions about their offensive line and what kind of challenges and issues that offensive line was going to bring people, and obviously it's come into play pretty significantly here. So I don't know for sure what to expect of it, but it has gotten to a point here where I think that we have to consider that maybe it's going to be a significant hindrance on them this season. A lot of people asking why Ben Cleveland's not starting over Daniel Falale. I know Falale is huge and powerful, but he's just getting beat over and over and over again. Dallas, obviously, the strength of their pass rush is on the outside with DeMarcus Lawrence and clearly Micah Parsons. So I, I'm really torn here. I wanted to tell Bills fans we probably want to be rooting for Baltimore to win this game. I have no desire for Baltimore to come in to our Sunday night matchup against the Bills as 0-3 and a painfully desperate team. So I'd really like for them to get a win here, maybe, take a breath a little bit and not be as desperate as what they would be at 0-3. It's really hard to fake desperation. Desperation is a very real thing, and when one team significantly needs a win more than the other one, it's really hard to replicate that in an NFL locker room. So, um I'm gonna be rooting for Baltimore to win this game. I want them to beat, Dallas, and I hope they continue to look rough, but not so bad that they make a change here. Because I think that Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver can abuse Daniel Faalele. I'm a little bit nervous that Mike Zimmer is gonna set up matchups to where Micah Parsons is gonna be able to really pick on him, and I'm worried that's gonna get him benched, and we're gonna face Ben Cleveland. So we'll see where it goes. Jason here is saying, I understand what you're saying. But I always go to Parcells. You are what your record says you are. If the Ravens are 0-3, it says something, and it means they are extremely beatable. I think they're extremely beatable either way. They've shown that they're not the same level of team that they've been in years past. But I do think there's a difference in the Giants being 0-3 and the Ravens being 0-3 and be like, well, they're both 0-3, so they're just 0-3 teams. They are where their record says they are. I can look at this Ravens roster and tell you there is talent here. They are capable of beating a lot of teams. They found ways to lose both of these weeks, but one of them is against the Chiefs. That Raiders game was weird, and that's a bad sign for a team that has found a lot of ways to win a lot of games over the last couple of years. But they're still good, and that they're obviously not going to be an 0-17 team this year. They're going to win some games. So, I don't disagree with Jason that you are what your record says you are, and that they're beatable. I think the Bills, I think very clearly this is not the same level of Ravens team we've seen in years past. I just don't want them looking to get right when we play them come week 4. So I'm interested to see this game. I think it's two teams that both need a win. I think Dallas obviously is looking to look a lot better than what they were previously in that Saints game, and wanting to show that they're more capable than that. But I also think they're a pretty flawed, top heavy team that doesn't have the depth to keep up in the long run. So really curious to see where that one goes. Obviously there's a handful of other games. This isn't the most stacked slate of the season. That 49ers Rams game has lost all of its kind of mojo. If you look at the injury list here, it's unbelievable the players that are going to be missing. Now it looks like George Kittle was added today. They already lost Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and the Rams are just decimated. Cooper Kupp, they've already put Puka Nacua and half their offensive line on injured reserve. That's going to be a mess. Sunday Night Football, you get Chiefs at Falcons. So the Falcons have been back-to-back primetime games. That's an easy one to be rooting for Atlanta. I hate the idea, but I'm pretty sure the Chiefs are going to go 3-0, so we'll see where that one goes. Obviously, we have Bills-Jags on Monday Night Football. Make sure you're checking out the preview show. Aaron and I had Mike Dempsey from Jaguars Today on last night and did a really nice breakdown. There's our first doubleheader on Monday night where we'll have overlapping games. Commanders and Bengals will be playing as well. So another fun one. We're on the primetime games. We get to root for an NFC versus AFC team and root for the Commanders to upset the Bengals or for the Falcons to upset the Chiefs. So should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. This is obviously always a fun thing to get back into in the season. As I'm just getting these built back up, there's not as much to do in the off season. It really helps out a lot if you guys can press that like button. It goes a long ways. Please come and leave a comment. Let me know which matchup you're looking forward to watch, which game you think has maybe the best upset potential, or one that you think could have some interesting impact and maybe we should try to watch and add to my quad boxes I'm going through there. Shoot me a message or just write that you're helping out with the algorithm. I'll respect that as well. All comments comments get weighed the same. So make sure you help us out. Press that like button. Come and leave a comment in the show comments afterwards. But thank you guys for coming to hang out. RJ, Jason, Sweet Spike, I appreciate you guys being in the comments and watching live here with me and all the rest of the folks here who are watching as well. We'll appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys soon. But you have been listening to the Greg Thompson Football Show, and we are out.